Welcome back at Chicago Cubs. This is your boy Tino. I have another thing to talk about, and like I promised, guys. Well, the Mets, if you have signed 26-year-old outfielder Juan Soto to a 765 million contract for 15 years. Juan Soto to last play with the New York Yankees last year, he had about an average of 288 with 41 home runs, 109 RBIs, and 166 hits last year for the New York Yankees. This contract also is for 15 years, like I said. But let's hear more about this signing, guys, and because I know the New York Yankees fans are really mad about this, but I know the fans are extremely happy. Let's hear more about this signing, guys.
The money was there, and we have a logo swap alert on SportsCenter. New York stays the same, but that logo is changing from the Yankees to the Mets. The Soto deal is done. Welcome to SportsCenter. I'm Nicole. He's Michael.
Yeah, it was the free agent decision of the baseball offseason, Juan Soto. He seemingly liked New York so much that he wants to stay. He just wanted a new jersey. $765 million over 15 years. That's what the Mets will dole out for the four-time All-Star and former batting champ. Now, sources telling Jeff Passan all these numbers, and Jeff is also reporting that this deal does not include any deferred money. Now, in addition to an opt-out after 5 years, escalators in the deal could max out the total value at $800 million.
This is insanity!
The Mets will be Soto's fourth team since he entered the league 6 years ago. Now, Steve Cohen, of course, is the man who signs the checks for the Mets, and he opened up that checkbook all the way open for this contract. $765 passes Shohei Ohtani for the largest total value contract in MLB history. We mentioned the 15 years. That's also the longest contract ever.
There's a lot of numbers to take in here, so the one guy we need to talk to now is Jeff Passan. Like, I'm trying to get my eyeballs back in my head here a little bit. Let's just start with the real basic question. How did all of this go down?
It went down, Nicole, over a frenzied 5-week process where teams, frankly, saw Juan Soto as the true apple of their eye. He is 26 years old. He is one of the 3 best hitters in baseball, and all teams needed to get him was a big bag of money, and that biggest bag came from the New York Mets. The $765 million not only sets a record, not only exceeding Shohei Ohtani's deal last year, but let's remember, Shohei Ohtani's deal is almost entirely deferred. The net present value of that was about $470 million. There is not a single dollar deferred in Juan Soto's contract. So not only did this beat Ohtani's deal, it absolutely crushed it, and it is the biggest contract in professional sports history.
Michael just said, obviously, it's Steve Cohen who's the one who has to open the checkbook, and he opened it all the way up for this deal. You texted with him after the deal was announced. What did he tell you?
You know, it's really interesting because when Steve Cohen bought this team back in 2020, the expectations were absolutely enormous from Mets fans. For decades, they had languished with ownership that was not willing to spend like a New York team, like the New York Yankees typically would. Steve Cohen promised to change that. And, you know, he went out and got Francisco Lindor and signed him to an extension. He tried to get Carlos Correa, whose physical wasn't good, and ended up going to the Minnesota Twins. But he hadn't had that one moment, that one big free agent who changed the future, changed the trajectory of this franchise. And when I was texting with Steve Cohen, he said, very simply, just a big day for the franchise.
Yeah, a huge day for the franchise. What I'm curious about, too, none of this is deferred money, so it's $765 all right now. But there are also escalators in that contract. You say it could take this north of $800 million. What do some of those escalators look like?
The escalators are tied in, Nicole, to the opt-out in the deal. He has an opt-out after year 5 of the contract, and if he chooses not to opt out, the average annual value of the deal will go up from $51 million to $55 million. And remember, because this is such an enormous deal, 15 years, longer than any that we have seen in the history of Major League Baseball, all those years tack on, all that money builds up, and all of a sudden you've got a deal that's $765 that turns into something even more.
Something more, monopoly money.
Yes,
That's
pretty
the
much.
only way to describe it. Jeff Passan, always a pleasure.
All right, for a little more perspective, we bring in ESPN baseball analyst Eduardo Perez. Eduardo, first let me get your reaction to the contract itself. $765 for 15 and no deferred money. What does that say to you?
It's impressive. You know what it is? 51 million AAV per year. Juan Soto just eclipsed everything that we even thought that we were talking about, this hot stove, to be able to get that amount of money with no deferral whatsoever. He automatically, easily becomes their best hitter in the lineup. But my goodness, Juan Soto right now with this $765 million, I would say that's probably over $35 million more than I thought he was going to get, and really impressive and really deserves it. Right there in the perfect storm, the New York Yankees going after him. He already showed that he can play in pinstripes. You have the Dodgers interested in him as well, the Boston Red Sox, the only team also north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays in. This was a perfect storm, perfect season for Juan Soto. The only thing he missed was a world championship.
Yeah, it seemed like so many teams had the money. It's about how much money, how many years, and you mentioned if any of that money is going to be deferred. Whatever he saw from the Mets is what he wanted to sign for. So let's talk about the team aspect of this, because if we go back to this past season, for maybe the majority of the season, at least more than half of it, the Mets were a disappointment based on their preseason expectations. They got hot late. They made a nice postseason run. So then you set the expectation for 2025. You mentioned he automatically becomes their best hitter. But what does he do to the overall lineup there in New York that would potentially make them one of the favorites in the National League to get to the World Series?
Well, look what he did just as a direct impact with Aaron Judge. It made Aaron more pitches in the zone than he had ever seen because of Juan Soto's on-base percentage. This past year, his on-base percentage, again, over 400, to be exact, 419. That's 75 points higher than the highest on-base percentage of the New York Met player last year, and that was Francisco Lindor. And you could even say 90 points higher than everyone else. So, look, he changes the dynamic of the way that you approach a lineup. It is a well-balanced lineup where most likely the Mets still have to see what they're going to do with at first base. Are they going to keep Vientos, move him over to first base, and then look for a third baseman, or trust in Beatty and give him an opportunity? Or are they going to go back to Pete Alonso and sign him? But is there enough money left in New York with Steve Cohen? I bet there is.
All right, let's take it to the other team there in New York, the Yankees. It's rare that they get outbid for a player, especially a guy they already had on their roster in their clubhouse this past season. What type of void does that leave there in the Bronx?
It leaves a tremendous void, because now we're going to see again how teams are going to approach Aaron Judge without Juan Soto, how teams are going to approach that lineup without two of the main guys, the two-hitter and the three-hole hitter in that lineup, the guys that can beat you at any time, especially with the discipline that Juan Soto has at the plate. Look, New York put in a valiant effort. 16 years. They're saying it's 16 years, $730 million. That's a very good offer. Yet, no one was going to outbid Steve Cohen. And the New York Yankees are now have to go and plan B. And trust me on this one, they did have plan B ready, and they should be very aggressive moving forward after missing out on Juan Soto.
Yeah, that was the big domino to fall in terms of position players with Juan Soto. Now we see what happens with other players. And to your point, what the Yankees can do to fortify that lineup now that Juan Soto is going from the Bronx over to Queens. Eduardo Perez here on SportsCenter. Appreciate you.
Okay, since you guys already heard it, you guys let me know on your thoughts about Juan Soto, guys. this is a really big splash for the New York Mets. This is a big splash. Um, I know Juan Soto had a lot of teams interested in him. He played for the. Let's also remember he did play. He started out. He both with the Washington Washington Nationals. Also, he was traded to the San Diego Padres. He was there. He was, and they were trying to make a run for a World Series. It did not happen. Juan Soto did mention he did like playing next to Fernando Tatis. So there's a lot of contribution about this. You guys let me know what you guys think. In the comments below what you guys really thought what's going on here, and what you guys think that what the Mets should have done or should have picked up if you really like this signing. Also, you gotta remember he did came to the New York Yankees, and they tried with the some Padres. So let me know what you guys really think about this signing, guys. This is a pretty interesting signing for the New York Mets. It's a big splash, like I said. There's a lot of contribution about this signing, guys. If the Mets are gonna pick up anyone else, who they gonna sign next, who anything like that, you guys let me know. And also, guys, let me know. Also, don't forget to subscribe and share this video, guys, because this is an interesting move for everybody, for the New York Mets. And it's a lot of money too. Let me know in the comments below.